Autoimmune rehab is for you if you think you have an autoimmune condition, know you have one, and are struggling, or just want to listen and learn all you can about how to heal from autoimmune conditions. Have you ever asked yourself any of these questions? Why won't medications heal my autoimmune condition? I've already given up gluten and dairy, but I still feel sick. My doctor said my labs are normal, but I still feel sick and tired a lot. Can you really heal from an autoimmune condition? What does it take to really thrive with autoimmune conditions? What role does stress play in autoimmune conditions? What is really the best diet for autoimmune? This is Anna Laura Brown, host of Autoimmune Rehab. I started this podcast because I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's in 2018 and wanted to inspire hope and transform health for people with autoimmune challenges. So keep listening and let's get you the help and hope you really need. Okay, everybody. So for today's episode, I am going to do something a little different, but I might do some of these solo episodes that follow a similar format in the future as well. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about a book that I have read that I believe at one point in time was a New York Times bestseller. It's a really good book. The title of the book is How to Make Disease Disappear by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. And Dr. Chatterjee recently, I believe, closed his general medicine practice, but for quite some time he was a general medicine MD in the UK and has written actually several additional best-selling books since then. And this book talks all about the different things that he has noticed and the patterns that he says that everybody needs to follow in order to be able to heal any kind of a disease. So I thought that what I would do is I would go through the different steps that he talks about, what it takes to heal a disease, and share with you some of my thoughts about how these different things relate to or can be applied to your journey to healing from an autoimmune condition. So the first section is entitled Relax, and there are 5 different sections in this, and the first one is me time every day. So in other words, making sure that you have priority for self-care. And I have to say that this really is key to autoimmune healing. So he's right on the target when it comes to healing disease by taking me time and self-care. Because if you don't take time to take care of yourself, the reality is you're not going to have the kind of help that you need to be able to take care of others either. So I definitely see where he's come on that. Number 2 is the screen-free Sabbath. Now, this is an interesting concept and one that I have to admit is not one that I have really been very good at following. It's something that I am striving to, in some small ways, work on a little bit, but it's the concept behind taking one day a week when you literally don't use any screens. So no TV, no computers, no tablets, things like that. And I know for most of us, the actual Sunday is probably going to be the easiest day to do it, just because I know a lot of us are working during the week, things like that. You know, we have requirements to use computers, things like that. Personally, because even on Sunday, you know, I have people that call me on the phone or things like that, or I feel like, you know, it's a time when I have some downtime and want to watch some movies and things like that. I still struggle with it, but I have definitely gotten to the point where I've started not using social media on Sunday and started trying to really cut back a lot and find other things to do on Sunday that don't involve screens, but I haven't completely cut back. So, you know, definitely something to consider though. Number 3 is to keep a gratitude journal. And this is another big one that I found to be really helpful. Keep a separate journal, whether it's even just a pen and paper. Doesn't have to be a full journal and diary, and write down all the things that you're grateful for every day. Number 4 is to practice stillness daily. In other words, take some time for meditation and being still and peaceful and stop just rushing around from one end to the next on anything and everything. And I definitely think that he's onto something there, because the reality is that a lot of us, especially those of us that have autoimmune conditions, we are constantly on overdrive and our nervous system is on overdrive, and we haven't learned how to really take time for stillness. The number 5 is to reclaim your dining table. Now, what does he mean by that? By that, he means actually sitting down and eating dinner, you know, or eating meals at the table at a specific time. And in this one, he also talks about, like, if you're married or have a family, trying to do family dinner time, that kind of thing. Personally, I'm single, so, you know, but In other words, don't just eat on the go or sit there and eat lunch at your desk at work, things like that. Try to have actual times for meals that you actually sit at the table and focus and concentrate on your food and your meal and not, multitasking, trying to do other things while you're eating. Okay, then the next section is called Eat. And number one, he talks about denormalizing sugar. And this is a really big one. And if you haven't listened to my episode with Mike Collins, the No Sugar Man, I definitely highly recommend that you go back through the archives of this podcast and find it and listen to it, because that is a really good one that's really going to open up your eyes to how damaging sugar is for your health. So this section of this chapter in this book is all about, realizing that sugar just really is bad for you, and we need to denormalize sugar and really anything that contains sugar and not just things that are considered traditional sweets. Number two is a new definition of 5 a day. And so in this section, she talks about thinking about the concepts of 5 a day vegetables and fruits and things like that, and thinking about how, potentially reimagine that, have even more, things like that. Number three, introduce daily microfasts. So this is talking about, the concept a little bit of intermittent fasting and practicing some microfasting throughout the day and not constantly putting food in your mouth. Number four is to drink more water. So this is something that I know a lot of us don't do. We don't get as much water as we probably should. And so, that chapter is all about the importance of drinking more water. Number five is to unprocess your diet. In other words, do what you can to see how you can get rid of processed foods, because those are really harmful to your health. The next section is move, and number one is walk more. So this section is all about talking about how a lot of us don't walk enough, and especially in the United States and Canada. I feel like North America, we, are so used to cars and things like that. We don't take public transit as much. Therefore, we don't walk as much. We don't get outside in the community and walk as much, and we really need to walk a lot more. Number two, become stronger. So this is about, creating strength and weight training and things like that. Number three, begin regular high-intensity interval training. So this is even more, about doing the weight training, things like that. This is something that I have really been trying to do a lot more on a regular basis with weights, with some weight routines. I bought a weighted vest on Amazon about 6 weeks ago and have started wearing that during some of my exercises. Feel like that's helping a little bit. Number four, movement snacking. So this is about, taking time to make little intervals of movement and things throughout the day. Number five, wake up your sleepy glutes. So, this is about exercising your glutes and things like that. Then the next one is sleep. Create an environment of absolute darkness, which I feel like this is really key for a lot of us to get great sleep. And a lot of us we're not able to sleep in as much darkness as we should or would like to or should be. Number two, embrace morning light. So in other words, getting used to and accepting that light in the morning. Number three, create a bedtime routine. Number four, manage your commotion. So this is a big one. Number five, enjoy your caffeine before noon. And personally, I will expand on that though and say that if you have autoimmune challenges, you probably don't even want to have caffeine at all, or want to try to figure out how to not have caffeine, because that really affects your adrenal gland, which ultimately affects things like your thyroid. So if you have a thyroid condition, even more so, but different things like that. And so let's go over just what these main concepts behind these are again. So relax, eat, move, sleep, and sleep. And so I highly recommend, if you haven't read this book, that you check it out. Again, it's called How to Make Disease Disappear by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. It has a lot of really good concepts of things that he's noticed over years and years with his medical practice about how to help people get rid of really any disease. But like I said, a lot of these concepts are really important and can be really applied to autoimmune conditions. So hopefully you have found this helpful. And if you have, I want to make sure that you are following or subscribed to this podcast. Please share it with others who could benefit from the things that we talk about here, about how to heal from autoimmune conditions. Please feel free to rate the podcast, write a review, and remember that I do offer free consultations. You'll find the link in the description to reach out and request one with me. You can also visit essentialwellnesscircle.com to learn more about my supplement purchase only membership, where you basically just buy some recommended supplements that I have, and then in exchange get access to a whole membership with coaching and info products and different things like that. So take care, and I hope to hear from you soon and to be shared with you again soon here on another episode of the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast.